the city of Tacoma Park, and I wanted to thank you all for coming out for this special interactive multimedia performance with Dance Exchange that we're really excited about. This is just one of the events in our Tacoma Park Art Series, which features film screenings, concerts, dance performances, poetry readings. We've got 2 film screenings coming up and an artist talk with a veteran artist that ties into the art exhibition that's out here. And so if you didn't sign up for e-newsletter, you didn't go to brochure on your way in, grab one on the way out. And if you didn't see the donation box and want to give a donation, all the money goes to the performers. And if you would please silence your phones if you haven't already, that would be awesome. And so now I am going to hand things over. Oh, you can also go to our website, tacomaparkmd.gov/arts, where we have info about all our events. So now I'm going to hand things over to Cassie Metter with Dance Exchange. Thanks again for coming.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight for the premiere of It Has Been a Home for Me. I'm Cassie Metter. I'm the Executive Artistic Director at Dance Exchange. At Dance Exchange, we believe that dance can benefit all lives at any age. We expand the potential for dance in our world by asking 4 questions. Who gets to dance? Where is the dance happening? What is the dance about? And why does it matter? Tonight, we're excited to share the premiere of a dance film that was commissioned as part of Dance Exchange's 45th anniversary and as part of our Dance On program, creative aging program, that celebrates aging with dance, creativity, and connection. It's especially meaningful for us to be sharing this work as part of Tacoma Arts, as Tacoma Park is our home community, one that we love to gather, move, and make with. This work was commissioned by Dance Exchange, but created by Karina Iona Dizell and Nancy Havlick with Arts for the Aging. In a moment, I'm going to invite the artist up to tell you more about what we'll experience tonight and also to meet their collaborators. But first, I'd like to welcome to the stage a partner that is really helping to make this work possible tonight with Dance Exchange. Janine Tersini with Arts for the Aging. Come on up. Your leadership in the field of creative aging has just really sparked so much and ignited imaginations, and we're just so grateful to have you as a partner in this.
Thank you, Cassie. It's wonderful to be here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Janine, as you just heard. I'm the director and CEO of the nonprofit Arts for the Aging, and this partnership has been wonderful. We have a threefold partnership with Dance Exchange, and we provided thought leadership in coming up with content for a creative aging festival that was held this past spring. And our senior improv dance company, Quicksilver, rehearses at Dance Exchange and is so glad to be back and in person rehearsing after being away for so long. And many of them are out there in the audience. It's wonderful to see your faces. And then, of course, this wonderful performance and projection and video tonight. I'm so excited to be here to see it with you. And Arts for the Aging, in terms of what we do, we engage older adults and caregivers in health improvement and in life enhancement, and we use all manner of the arts to do it. We have a multidisciplinary faculty of 25 teaching artists that we typically send into community and residential care settings in Greater Washington. And now we're virtual, we're online, doing programs pre-recorded and live as well, and are looking forward to being back with many of our clients in the community in the months to come. And we're excited to be breaking into some trainings for teaching artists in the community, as well as developing videos for the College of Medicine at the University of Florida, Jacksonville on pain management. So there's a lot that's bubbling in the field, a lot of opportunities for replication and scalability and expansion, and we're just thrilled to be partners with Dance Exchange in all of these initiatives. And I want to thank our team at Arts for the Aging, especially Sarah House, our program director, who over the last year has reinvented the way that we can program for the community, as well as the work that led to this evening that we're together. And I want to thank the generosity of Dance Exchange, too, in helping to fund these programs. So without further ado, I think I'm to introduce the co-directors of this project, Nancy and Karina.
Thanks, everybody. We're so excited to be here with you tonight. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Karina. This is Nancy. And before we see the video project this evening, we're going to warm up a little bit. So I encourage you to do any sort of movement that feels good to you. As you came in, there were some postcards available and some responses on those postcards. There are 3 questions that we used to guide this project. And yeah, beautiful. Look at this. This is gorgeous. Gorgeous. So we have these 3 questions, and I invite you to think about this one particular question. What have you seen change in Takoma Park? What have you seen change in Takoma Park? And responses to this can be any sort of scale, right? We're all in Takoma Park here right now. You saw me go from the side of the stage to the stage. That's a change that you've seen here. But maybe you've been here for a long time and seen lots of different kinds of changes here. So I invite you to think about that question. What have you seen change in Takoma Park? And as you think, I just invite you to move with me. So if you'd like, if it feels comfy, if it feels good, make a tall shape. And if you want to take some space in the aisle, if you want to stay seating, that's wonderful. If you want to stand up, that's wonderful. We're going to make a tall shape while we think about that question. What have you seen change in Takoma Park? And now I invite you, if it feels good, to add a little shake to your tall shape. Maybe a little bounce, maybe a little wiggle. Yes, this is gorgeous. Thank you, everybody. And start to bring that wiggle down in your body. How can you bring it toward your feet? Thinking about changes we've seen here in Takoma Park. Going down toward the floor and getting that lower body going, and any sort of wiggle or movement or circle that feels good to you. Excellent, excellent. And then this last movement I invite you to try is just a little twist, a little side to side. So it can start small, maybe with your eyes from one side to the other side. If you'd like to add your head, maybe your nose goes from one side to the other side. You can add your shoulders if that feels good. Getting a little twist in your upper body. Side to side, thinking about changes in Takoma Park. Fantastic. So in a moment, I invite you to turn to someone near to you and give them a short response to what you've seen change in Takoma Park. Really brief, maybe one sentence. One person will share, the other partner will listen, then we'll switch. One person will share, the other partner will listen. Go ahead and talk to somebody close to you and give them a short response. What have you seen change in Takoma Park? And make sure both folks have a chance to share. Beautiful. Bringing our conversations to a close, don't worry. We'll come back to this. Hold on to these thoughts. Thank you for listening to your partner. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I'm going to pass it to Nancy to talk a little bit about what we're about to see.
So everybody, we're really excited to share our video with you. We've developed it over a long time, it seems. And we started out with one of these questions: what have you seen change in Takoma Park? We got 8 old people who've lived here a long time to answer several questions like that about Takoma Park, and we recorded their voices. And then we got our sound director, who you'll meet later, to take all of those voices and make them into music. So the music for our video is the voices of Tacoma Park residents. And that was very exciting. And then our videographer perused the site. She took some video on the 4th of July, and Karina perused to find sites where we could do our video in Tacoma Park. And then we recruited a group of wonderful intergenerational dancers. And in the middle of the summer, when it was really hot, we had to do it, and Danae said we better do it early in the morning. So we got out to our sites and we videoed over 2 days some of the dancers in these sites. We got a whole lot of footage. And then we had to hone it down to make the video and pair it up with the sound score from our wonderful sound director and put it in with some of Danae's footage of the town. And so that's what we got here. It's our take on it. It's just one little idea of Tacoma Park, but it came from us. And we hope you enjoy it.
One thing I love to do is talk.
I remember
Talk.
I remember the time.
One thing I love to do is talk.
it's wonderful, wonderful.
Talk.
I remember
One thing I love to do is talk.
I remember the time.
Talk.
it's wonderful.
One thing I love to do
My
is talk.
wife was snooping around for a good neighborhood for us.
Talk.
She's very good at that sort of thing.
One thing I love to do is talk.
She found Tacoma Park and
I remember
Talk.
went out very early in the
It's
morning and
One thing I love to do is talk.
I remember
came down the street and we said,
Talk.
You know,
Not
it's
bad.
wonderful.
One thing I love
wonderful.
to do is talk.
wacko.
Cool.
Talk.
You know, I remember.
I remember
I remember.
I remember the time.
I remember.
I remember the time.
I remember.
I
remember the time.
I took like mother-daughter classes there.
I remember
I remember one of the exercises was to be a sandwich.
So that was a long time ago.
Sandwich.
My co-op membership number is 48, and they're into the 6 digits or something now.
Sandwich.
I guess and thinking about my sojourn here in Tacoma Park, it has been home for me. It has been home for me. It has been home for me. It has been home for me.
And so these opportunities to contribute to building community are a treasure to me. And then I get to live in the community that I've helped to build. That's probably the best part of all.
I think Tacoma Park, Maryland has a very strong sense of identity, who they are.
Mainly because I think the progressive politics that's in the community engagement.
Very strong sense of what their aspirations are, how they want to be in the world.
You know, I can see my life as long as I'm engaged, I'm happy.
And I think that is a good thing.
I see that democracy functions as a local community thing, where it's possible to know people and to get involved. I've been really interested in how places and people interact, how the built environment, as well as the natural environment, affects people and how people interact with it. Three-dimensionality. There was a sloping hill and it was a huge tree. And so we spent the summer, possibility. The A scale is one that's all about off vertical movement. And we spent the summer kind of reeling around off vertical in like super three-dimensional, you know, on this slope outdoors. And it was like my mind expanded. There was infinite three-dimensionality and infinite possibility and space. And my body was connected and supported by that infinite space. And when I came back in the fall, I went and got a job waitressing. And it happened that the restaurant I was waitressing in was this long, narrow room. And it was like from this A-scale world, my whole world condensed down into this, what I'd call the sagittal dimension. Forward, back, taking turns. Forward, back, forward. This kind of back, forward, hand somebody a plate or the check, taking turns. Back. It narrowed down into like 2 dimensions and then maybe even 1. And the result was that I felt like I couldn't think anymore. Couldn't think of things. That sagittal dimension or plane is like, well, if you're not ahead, you're behind. If you're not up, you're down. It's a bipolar kind of experience of perspective.
And I remember the time.
I remember
the time.
So that was a long time ago.
I remember the time.
I remember
the time.
One thing I love to do is talk.
It's wonderful, wonderful.
Talk.
I remember
I remember the time.
Talk.
It's wonderful, wonderful.
Talk.
Wacko.
cool.
Talk.
You know,
It's wonderful.
This is like junior high school and high school kids. So the girls
I remember
all lined up on one
Cool.
side of the gym.
you
The
know.
boys all lined up on the other side of the gym, and the boys had to go ask the girls to dance.
So that was a long time ago.
It was
You know.
late 60s.
wonderful.
I integrated that high school.
I braved the no man's land, and I walked all the way
Cool.
across. I walked up to the girl who I thought would be a good partner and asked her if she would like to dance, and she said no.
I remember that was an experience. But the thing that I love the most about that school, my favorite memories of being there, particularly my first year when it was pretty difficult, was dance.
cool.
That to me is the only way I'm gonna age, age well.
Dance, I had the ability to ground me.
But all ages, that's the neat thing about that.
I remember.
Ailment, operations, people still move, which is good, which is important.
remember
It's the soulful, just essence of who you are, who we all are as human beings. It's just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
I could turn around and walk back across the dance. Very traumatic.
One thing I love to do is talk.
right, let's give them some more applause. I'd love to welcome to the stage at this time the full creative team, and we'll get to hear a bit about their process. And as they're getting settled, maybe you can just think back to that question that Karina and Nancy asked you at the beginning. As you all get settled, love just to go down the line and meet everyone and hear just a bit about your role and your contribution to this collaboration.
Good evening. I'm Danae Seals, as the videographer, editor for the project. I got to hear the band on the 4th of July.
I'm Nancy Havlik, choreographer director with my colleague who I didn't know before we started the project and has become a good friend and collaborator.
I'm Corina Iona Delzo, one of the co-directors of the project.
I'm Manny Arciniega. I'm the composer of the sound score.
Wonderful. Well, so wonderful to see and experience the work. I think this is the second time I've seen it, so I've seen it in a couple different iterations, but with all of you here tonight, we would just love to hear a bit more about the process and maybe starting with what was sparked for you through this collaboration. Is there anyone that would like to start?
Yeah, sure. I guess
You want to get started, Manny?
I've got the mic. I'll start it off. Yeah, well, of course, a great working relationship with Karina and Nancy, and then getting to meet Danae and doing this collaboration, which has been a joy and a real great honor to be a part of. And I thank you guys, immensely for including me in the project. And then, this has been a weird year for musicians and for artists alike who have not had really our idioms or platforms to do what we normally do. So there's been a lot of pivoting. There's been a lot of new forays into exciting new ventures and things, and this has just been another step in that process. So, a lot more sound design work, which has been really, really exciting and just very appreciative. So, yeah, that's kind of been what sparked out of this whole process.
Sparked for me. Nancy and I are both improvisers, and I think very fortunate to have been paired, and that we are so excited by what happens in the moment. And in describing my own artistic process, I compare it a lot to collage. I like to collect things and then see how they line up. And I was just incredibly excited how all of these pieces fell into alignment. I'm a little amazed, actually. And yeah, feel so grateful to have three fantastic collaborators trust the process. Thanks.
So I would second all that. I was also very excited about the power of story, because when we got the people who had lived, I was going to say old timers, but being as I'm an old timer myself, but that's probably a bad word, but people who had lived a long time in Takoma Park and heard their stories, the stories were so marvelous and wonderful. And I was thinking, everybody's walking around the world with stories. And if we listen to each other, we hear these magical stories people have to tell. And to take these stories and take the voices of these people and charge Manny with making them into music, I felt very exciting. And see how we can use the human voice as music for future collaborations. So working with all these guys, and the other thing, I've lived in Washington area for over 50 years, and I always knew Takoma Park, and I moved through Takoma Park, but I've started to fall in love with Takoma Park in making this video. It is an amazing place, and it touches my heart.
I'll go quickly with my spark. I was more like a dish rag, but I was so fortunate to have all this energy they're speaking of, shoom, come at me. I had no choice, to sit at home talking about the virus, because they said, let's go, let's move, let's dance. with beautiful group of folks who said, let's do it in 96-degree weather. 3 separate sites. So it was just a joy. Manny, your music made me listen better. That 4 seconds of just sky, I had to find birds and caterpillars just to kind of equal and balance out what you brought in that soundtrack. So I've been sparked. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Well, sparked for me, I became so curious about the individuals that were featured in the film, and really left with this sort of wondering about where we have the opportunities to share these stories and find out about them, and just a lot of gratitude for the opportunity you created for that kind of exchange. Last question, because we want to get to some of the bringing you into the process with us tonight. Just love to know sort of what, is there one discovery that you're carrying forward from this collaboration?
I guess the magic in each of us, because as we heard and listened to the people that we were working with, which we often in our lives don't have time to just sit down with somebody you don't know, and just have them tell you their story. There's even a project, maybe it's in Canada, where instead of borrowing a library book, you borrow a person. And you sit down with the person, and the person tells you their story. And I thought, yeah, let's just walk down the street and just listen. All these people have, and especially if you've lived a long time, you have a lot more stories because you have a lot more life. So that was the thing that was sparked for me.
When thinking about how a city would dance, how would Takoma Park dance, I think what I imagined was the city as a stationary thing, and people moving in and around it, and coming and living and leaving. But it was re-choreographed listening to these longtime residents talk, because they were the anchor at that point. So rather than people moving around the city, it was the city moving around them, and all of the houses that they lived in, and all of the ways that they changed in their body. So I guess it reframed the dance a city would do as a duet. There's everything that you bring to the city and everything that the city is doing around you.
Well, he's gonna keep that one. What was mine? Do it on foot. The world is so different on foot. Like Nancy said, I've driven through, and I go as far as Dance Exchange. I had my route to the metro and back. But that weekend I was on foot. We stopped in the beautiful green fields, and I saw the houses and the architecture and the fence and the stairs that led. Do it on foot. Big discoveries. And I'm so glad that I did. And thank you for sharing Takoma Park.
I've got 2 discoveries I'd like to share. My first one is just how incredibly valuable it is to be able to record people's stories and listen back to them, and just like get a tiny little glimpse into somebody's life for even a small moment. It was such a joy to listen to all the full interviews. There's so much more vocal performance, words, text, however we want to describe that, but there's so much more story behind each one of those voices. And I wish that everyone could just hear the entire ones. I mean, each interview was about 40 minutes long or something like that, and I just took car rides and listened to them, and I found myself listening to them over and over again because they were beautiful. They were just gorgeous stories, personal lives, and reflections about how they've lived or what they've seen changed. And I love all the dance stories, and you could catch the through lines in some, and a lot of people were overlapping with information, and it was great to see how connected we are, really, even though, complete strangers. Everyone was a complete stranger at the start of this. So I really like that intersection. I really love the story, and it made me try not to take for granted so much this idea that we just have all this television recorded things around us all the time. You kind of take for granted that every individual here has their own unique story, and how amazing it is to just capture that as you can and share that with as many people as possible in whatever way you want. So I really enjoyed that part of the process. And then there was one particular interview or story that resonated really well, and that was from Esther. I don't know if anybody's here who participated in the interview, but Oh, I see Sylvia in the back, yeah. But one of the interviewees, Esther, her story and just her use of movement, and she was talking about A scales and Laban kind of movement analysis, and that sent me down a rabbit hole of dance terminology that I never thought I would get into. And it was fascinating, and I started seeing all the parallels with music theory and dance and stuff. So it was just a wonderful joy to get into that as well.
Well, thanks to each of you for your contributions to this project and for giving us a window into the process. Great, and I think at this time we're going to get to experience a little bit of the process with Nancy and Karina.
Oh yeah.
Wiggle your shoulders. So kind of a jiggle. Jiggle your fat. If you have it. If you don't, too bad. And rub your hands together. And let's take a nice deep breath. And let all the air out. And feel free to stand if you want in the middle of this, or sit, or do whatever you want. You can join in.
Take space if you want.
And I'm going to turn it over to Karina. We're going to do one thing first, though.
Beautiful. We're just going to come back to this question. What have you seen change in Tacoma Park? And you can think about what you said or about what the person close to you said. And
could somebody, I'm sorry. And could people, would anybody like to share one thing they've seen change in Tacoma Park?
Stephen will bring a mic to you.
Steve will bring a mic. One thing you've seen change. Oh, good.
You never want to get me in my apartment. I'm Buddy Daniels, and I've lived here 70 years. How you doing? Awesome program. Thank you so much. It's interesting, we were having a discussion. It's the things I haven't seen change in Tacoma Park since the 50s, 60s, and 70s, 80s, 90s. In Tacoma Park, you could be who you want to be, do what you want to do. I think that's why it brings so many different cultures in, whatever your orientation, your religion, what have you. And that's what made this city, and still makes this city, so incredibly great over the years. The diversity, the talent, the poets, the writers, the dancers. And growing up in this tremendous sea of talent and caring for one another makes a hell of a difference. And this city spoke for that all these years. This city stood up for those who could not stand up for themselves. My parents and all my friends that I grew up with stood up for people that could not stand up for themselves in this city and other places. There are people in this room that have stood up for people who could not stand up for themselves. So this city, to me, even since the 50s, has it changed? Sure it has in certain ways, but it's also stayed the same. And thank you for what you're doing. And take the microphone before I run out.
Thank you. Okay, so that was beautiful, and you had, sorry, you had a lot of movement ideas in there. Thank you. So I was thinking, you speak to people who can't speak for themselves. So this would be my move. Everybody, you speak to people, and you have another one.
I do. I actually saw some movement as you were speaking. It was collecting of the important things. There were these 3 beats that came from the air into the hand. So we'll just do that 3 times. 1, 2, 3. It was a beautiful rhythmic moment.
Speaking for people who can't speak, collecting important things. Can we remember that? Yes.
We'll work together.
So another story. Something that's changed in Tacoma Park. I have somebody over here.
Okay, so I've been noticing a lot of trees have been taken away, trees taken away, but new trees are planted. And sometimes it's, for example, in our neighborhood, we had a tree removed yesterday, and it was so sad, and I went out and said bye to the tree. It was a beautiful azalea, some variety of azalea, pink and purple flowers. So I was really sad to see it go, but it was going because we're getting new sidewalks in our neighborhood, so my daughter can walk to school safely. So changes, sometimes mixed feelings with those.
Thank you. That was great. Both Karina and I saw changes, mixed feelings. Everybody try that. Changes, mixed feelings. And what about the trees? A move.
Well, there was the moving of the trees and then new ones coming up.
Oh, I like that. Here. Changes. What do we do? Changes, mixed feelings. Changes, mixed feeling. Trees coming down, but new ones up. Try it again. Changes, mixed feelings. Trees coming down and others coming up. Should we try the four of them together? She's better at remembering than me. She's younger, though. Cool.
Beautiful. And we would love to hear one more story, one more change you've noticed in Tacoma Park. Roberta. Wait, the mic's coming to you. We want to record this.
Okay, this is kind of amusing in some ways because I've done yoga, and one of the things about being in Tacoma Park is that it was very unboxed stores here. And finally, that rule was broken, and we got CBS, and we could watch CBS from our yoga studio. We used to make fun of it.
Beautiful. So we're actually going to commission you all as choreographers for this last part, for this last story. Thank you, Roberta, for it. And I would love you to think of one part of that story that you want to remember and find a movement that helps you remember it. So it's going to be a solo. It's going to be a movement that only you will do and to help you remember Roberta's story. So go ahead, take a second, go into your own private studio. What movement will help you remember that?
There's no right answer. Everything's valid. So it's a very funny story. Seeing CVS from my yoga studio, good or bad. Find a move for that. What does it make you want to do? Trust your body instead of your brain. Your body will tell you. Nice, everybody. I'm seeing a lot of different moves around. Oh, that's beautiful. The ones you're making by yourselves are better than anything we could make up. I see the whole room is full of different moves. Beautiful.
You want to give us an ending?
Do we want a final move? Or what do you mean, a final?
Yeah.
So Karina says we want a final gesture for the end of the dance. Oh, ta-da! Ta-da! Okay. So I think we should do it with a little music, and we're gonna. Karina's better at remembering, and if you remember something different than everybody else, that's fine because it's improvisation. Everything is good.
It has been home for me. It has been home for me. Talk.
It's wonderful.
One thing I love to do is talk. One thing I love to do is talk. It has been home for me.
It's your solo moment.
It's been home for me.
And get ready for the big finish. Let's do it again, all together, from the top. Keep it going, keep it rolling.
One more time.
It has been it has been home for me. It has been home for me.
Solo moment.
One thing I love to do is talk. Talk.
And big finish. Gorgeous.
Thank you all. That was really great. I wish you could have seen it. It was really, but did we record it? Yeah.
We did record it.
It might even be on TV. So should we turn it over to Cassie for the end? So our leader here is going to wrap it all up with a bow.
Thank you, Karina and Nancy. Thank you, Manny and Denise. And thank you, all of us, for joining tonight. Just as we close tonight, we'd like to acknowledge the generous support for Dance Exchange's Dance on Creative Aging. Programming is provided by an Our Town grant from the National Endowment for the Arts and City of Tacoma Park. Additional thanks and gratitude to Dance Exchange's major funders and to our partners on this project, Arts for the Aging, Montgomery County Government and the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County, the Morris Gwendolyn K. Fritz Foundation, the Dallas Morris Coors Foundation for the Performing Arts, the Maryland State Arts Council, and the Mid-Atlantic Arts Foundation. This work could not happen without their generous support and by the support of people like you. If you believe in Dance Exchange's work and our work at the intersection of arts and creative aging, please consider making a donation tonight. You can drop off a check with Dance Exchange in the lobby. There's also a place with a QR code. We invite you to visit the website to find out more about Dance Exchange. You can always donate online there. And we also invite you to join our free weekly Dance On class as part of our creative aging programming. This class takes place at 11 a.m. on Thursdays over Zoom. You don't even have to worry about you can just sign up right before the class and join us. It's wonderful to see some of you that are a part of that weekly Dance On class here tonight. Thank you for coming out. And on behalf of Dance Exchange and Arts for the Aging, we thank you for joining us this evening, and we look forward to moving with you soon. Thank you, and good night.